I make this for you.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Big Sam presents
I make this for you.
Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this for you. I make this for you. I make this for you.
Hi, would you like to sponsor this show? You have the ability to sponsor Big Sam Presents Raw and or Shit Talk. I don't give a goddamn. You could pay me $100 a month or $50 a week or $250 every 2 weeks. Regardless, it don't even matter. If you want to sponsor this show, you can. Let me know. I'm Big Sam, and you got the opportunity to sponsor this show. This show, goddammit, this one. Are you not entertained? Fuck you, because I wasn't trying to entertain you.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
Bye, bitches.
I make this for you.
Did you know Big Sam Presents is available on iHeartRadio? That's right. You can put iHeartRadio in your internet browser and or download the app and look up Big Sam Presents with a Z at the end of Presents, and you will be able to listen to my podcast, now available streaming on iHeartRadio. Take your ass to iHeartRadio and subscribe to my damn podcast. I appreciate you, baby. What up, fucktards? How you motherfuckers doing? Why you gotta be so disrespectful? Because I want to.
I make this for you.
Because I can.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
Man, it's been a minute since I recorded live. Shit. I've done a bunch of them this weekend, but it feel like it's been a minute because the past two, I ain't say nothing on them. Shit. It's not live. I did
I make this for you.
Tonight I'm going to get hella high. I got a lot of shit to do today. Been knocking out some shit and kind of scared to pull the trigger on a couple other shits, but you know, we're going to make it do what it does. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make it do what it does. You feel me, son? But we about to pick up on this conversation, listening to this black consciousness. Not black consciousness, but this anti-Christian shit. I like listening to it. It's entertaining. It's kind of getting me back into my debate mode and shit. So, it's pretty cool, you know? I want to get back into debating and shit like that, but we'll see. I don't know. But there's other shit I like to do, so. There's a lot of them trying to do and working on, and it's hard when you're doing it by yourself, man. It's fucking hard. You got a lot of shit you got to do, but nevertheless, though, we gonna make this shit happen, motherfuckers. We're gonna make this shit happen. So listen to this shit.
Every so often, 13,000 to 25,000 years. And you have to understand that, again, as I started to say at the beginning, there never was a time that man was not. And when I say man to the sisters, it's not a male.
Right.
I'm talking about Mem Alf Nun. And if we're talking about man, we're talking about the Kabbalistic name, Mem Alf Nun. So you're looking at a word as a composite. It's actually it's a composite of the masculine and feminine energies that is representative of who he, for instance, H-U-H-I is where Yahweh came from. And that came from the ancient Kemetiu, who spoke on that. So it's very difficult for me to speak on something like that because, again, it's visceral. For me to give you a definitive word to say that we came out of Africa, no. That's where they want to limit you to Africa. Did we come out of America? No, they want to limit you to America. You have to remember that to control you, they have to show you your limitation, and they have to teach you to stay within that limitation. And in metaphysics, we don't have limitations. I'm not talking about, being chaotic. I'm speaking about you knowing what you are first before you study who you are. Who you are is based upon what it is that you have been conditioned to think you are. What you are is a spirit. What you are is a soul. What you are is a divine spark. Again, the avatar of what you call God, having an experience for itself, because all of it is nothing more than experience. So people who say to me, well, we're coming out of Africa, I say, okay, yeah, come out of Africa, sure. You came out of India. Okay, sure, we came out of India. Listen, we are consistently coming out of something. We're dying back like plants. We die back and then come back again. Just like I told everybody that when they look up and they see the Milky Way, what they look like the Milky Way, that is a rift in the dome. That rift in the dome was opened, and even the Chinese know about it. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Yoruba, everybody knows that talks about a great flood. Okay, the rise and falls of the ocean. The rising of the ocean and the fall of the ocean shows us continents that exist still under the sea, under the ocean. That's because the changing of the guard, so to speak. They talk about root races, the first root race, the second root race. The third root race, the fourth root race. Now, the fifth root race is
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam presents Raw.
I make this
where
for
we
you.
were. We're coming out of the fifth root race, going into the sixth root race. So there's a destruction
Damn internet
coming,
going in
but
and out.
the destruction is for.
What the fuck? Shit. Goddamn internet.
For a construction of a new
Speed your goddamn ass up, internet.
form of
Shit.
humanity. And a
That shit is ridiculous. The fuck?
new form of humanity is the one that they're trying to subvert.
Ah, man, this is some bullshit. I'm going to have to start this one over. This don't make no sense. Oh, snap. No, I don't want to do that. It's some good content, man, for you to think about. I'm trying to, share the good message, but shit.
What these people don't realize is that you go through what is known as a stroke, an ischemic stroke, where the contents of the vaccine tends to make the blood thick, too thick to go through the very tiny blood vessels, because your blood vessels are very, very tiny, and the blood cells, the red blood cells, go through only one at a time. So when you put that toxins in there, poisons in there, would have the mercury, the thimerosal. When you put those things in your bloodstream, what you are doing is, okay, let me stop here real quick. Hold on to that thought. When they are cleaning the filth out of the water supply in order to get it back to your tap in your house, they throw a mercury compound or a compound that coagulates all of the organic material so that they can scoop it out. Well, that same material they put into the water to cause the organic material to coagulate is what they're putting into the vaccines and into your veins, into your children's veins. So what causes that then your blood begins to clot, block up the blood getting to the brain, and then boom, the child then begins to show that the eyes begin to go to different directions. The child begins to get listless, and then that material is then marshaled to the stomach and into the large intestines. And so inside the large intestines, that's where the actual root of autism, the whole autism spectrum, is in the large intestines, you see. So what you have to do is to get that heavy metal out and allow the baby's developing stages, to allow the baby to be able to get oxygen to the brain again. And the thing about it is that the Juice Plus, and again, a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't have Juice Plus. Yeah, well, the Juice Plus has some incredible research about it helping children who are suffering from different forms of autism spectrum to actually be able to focus normally in greater state. I don't say secure, but what it has done, it has allowed the children to begin to have at least a semblance of a normal life. So I would suggest that everyone who wants to get in contact, call 800-847-1291, 800-847-1291, and talk to my wife, Dr. Nalani Valentine, about the Juice Plus, because that is phenomenal. It's what's helped to save my life. I tell you. Truth. Because
right.
I tell you, yeah, I mean,
yes, go ahead,
I don't.
And there's a sales pitch.
I don't recommend anything. I'm not a product
I
pusher.
make this
Right.
for
But when
you.
it comes to something that I found that has actually helped
I'm
me,
not a product pusher,
need to
but
go ahead
you
and
need to
check
go
it
and buy
out.
my shit.
All right. For my moderators that's in the building, any negative comments, you already know what y'all got to do. Delete them, put them on timeout. And if it's any disrespectful, you already know to block them. So we got one of our grandmaster teachers here, and he is here to teach our people like he's been doing for so long. We don't want no negativity up in here. So they say one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. So if we let one get away, it's going to be another one come up and another one come up. So let's get rid of them, because I see that there's people in here learning, and there's people in here is like, they like, wow, they want to know. So Phil, let me ask you now, there was a time when we as a people, we knew how to heal ourselves. We can look at a certain tree and know, oh, that's the tree that we need to use to heal this. Or we need this right here. We need to make a herb out of this. Is modern day medicine better than ancient medicine today? Because there was a time when we used to know how to do this thing, So now we are all focusing on this modern day medicine now. So is modern day medicine better than than the ancient medicine?
Well, let's just look at it this way. When Kemet, for instance, or when ancient Dravidians and when our peoples were at the heights of their civilizations, they didn't need medicine. It was only when they began to degenerate, when war, when privation began to strike, when things like the Thera volcano that erupted on the Aegean Islands, that spread ashes across ancient Kemet, that caused all those diseases that they speak about in Exodus, which they stole that particular event and put it in there as a story that God did all this, the 8 plagues or 7 plagues or the 10 plagues of Egypt. That's a bunch of crock. It all had to do with the eruption of a particular volcano, but that's a whole other story. You have to remember that a healthy community needs no doctors, because they're doing the right thing. First of all, they're eating the right foods. They have the right temperament. There's a good relationship as far as community. If they are worshiping, if they're dealing with their own God situation, helping one another, health is essentially contagious, just as so-called disease is. The only contagion in disease is people eating and doing and thinking the wrong things. So let's start from that particular point when we begin to think about what it is that we do to heal ourselves. The first thing we must do is to look at the language we use. The language we use and the context in which we use those languages always either give us the right direction or has a tendency to give us misconceptions. When you say cure, the word cure essentially is thrown about when it comes to taking something to mitigate or to lessen a specific, I guess what you call a symptom. When you take something to mitigate a symptom and your suffering ceases or is diminished, that's not a cure. So we have to look at the word cure, and we come to find that the word cure essentially means to actually preserve something that's dead. So when you cure beef so that it doesn't rot. The word cure actually its true meaning came out of the Catholic Church, and it was assigned to a priest. And his actions were to cure. to cure you of your mental and psychological and spiritual diseases. The word healing is not the same as cure. And as a doctor of naturopathic medicine dealing with hygienic science, which is the closest science that our ancient ancestors practiced when they were at their heights, we deal with healing, the body's own ability to heal itself. There is no cure for anything. There's no cure. If anybody there out there listening to me, and they can say, well, he gave you this and cured this, and this person cured that with that. No, they didn't. The body cures itself. Always remember this axiom. There is no such thing as cure, only consequence. The consequence of actions taken, the consequence of actions not taken. So when you are dealing with the human body, which is an intelligence unto itself, every cell has one cell in your human body has more intelligence than all the doctors on the planet. And if you come to know the actual beauty of the fact that you are an intelligence, the coalescence of God intelligence, if you want to call it that, you are God. The intelligence of God actually operates in you. Your heart keeps going. You don't have a plug coming out of your backside to stick into a wall. Your breath is what keeps you alive. The air, your breathing, your heart, your consciousness. You are a conscious entity. So therefore, you must approach health and disease as a conscious entity, and that everything in you is conscious. You can't take something for your liver and not affect your lungs, your heart, your brain, and so forth. There's no such thing as a cure for the liver, a cure for the heart. No. When we deal with the entire body, and we start with the mind.
Right.
Okay? Because there is an axiom also that you need to understand. It says, when the mind is in pain, the body cries out. So when we deal with natural healing, the people come to us and they speak about specific symptoms. The symptoms is this: I have diabetes, I have high blood pressure, I have this, this, and this. Well, each one of those are the body crying out from a psycho-spiritual process that began at some traumatic point that then became subconscious, because we like to push all our pain into the subconscious. But we don't know that that place where you pushed your pain is radiating outward into an intelligence, which is your body. Even though you have numbed your mind, you have medicated your mind, you have sedated your mind to the pains that you've experienced. But your body is not sedated. Your body is going to wear down, and sooner or later, boom, you go to the doctor because you had a headache. You go to the body because you had a back, if you A, B, or third, whatever disease you have. Then that body, the doctor comes up and he goes through his little spectrum and says, okay, you got this, this, and this. We got a drug for this, this, and this. All they're doing is mitigating that particular condition. Right. So what we do is we approach healing. We don't look for cures. That's why, I studied herbology with one of the best. I studied herbology with Umberto Santillo, who a good friend of mine back in the days, John Harris. We went to take his classes. In fact, he was the one who put together, this brother from out of South America. He put the formula together for Juice Plus. He had his father was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. This is his story. And he could not eat food. So what did he do? He fed his father through his rectum with the formulas that are now being used in the Juice Plus product. His father was slated to go home and die in 2 weeks. His father lived for 5 years after that. Mm-hmm. So it's not about cure. We have to get that word and the meaning that is assigned to it out of our heads. The word is healing. And what are the pathways to healing? The first thing to do is to remove the obstacles to healing. And you'll find out that whenever anybody comes to us, when we speak to them, we find out there are dozens of obstacles that they put in their way unconsciously until they're told, hey, these are an obstacle. Then they say, oh, wow, yeah, that's right. When I did this, wow, I remember feeling this way, and so forth and so forth. So when you remove the obstacles to healing, as soon as somebody talks to us, for instance, if you want to call us, the first consultation is free, where we get to know you. And then as soon as we tell them what that and give them the power back, because doctors take your power away and say, you are now the slave to this drug. You are now a slave to this. As soon as we re-empower them, the healing has begun.
All right.
And
Hey,
that's
Phil,
the secret.
let me ask you, when you look at the community, Harlem, for example, let's say Harlem in New York, it's like Malcolm X never walked the face of the earth in Harlem. When you look at us today, when you look at the community, it's like Dr. Khalid has never walked amongst us. It's like Carter G. Woodson never walked amongst us. It's like Marcus Garvey has never walked amongst us. And I'm talking about Harlem in particular. What about, like, let's say you, Dr. Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blair, the list goes on and on with the metaphysical teachers. Do you feel at some point, looking in the community, that y'all teachings have failed and it has not moved on? Or would you say we, the people, have not carried the message on to enlighten our youth today? Because the youth out there is like they dead, man. It's like they staggered.
Yeah.
But see, we, the older ones like me, myself, Black Dot, and all of us, we know what you taught. We know what the Delbert Blairs and all of them brought. But when you look outside of it, it's like they lost, brother. They gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's because of, well, it started with Charlie Rangel.
Okay.
There was a war going on between the upliftment of our people in Harlem, because that was a battleground. There was a battle going on behind the scenes, but nobody actually saw it. We were there at the battle. We were at the forefront of the battle. You know that.
Right.
Because we were there at that time. If you remember correctly, at the corner of Lexington Avenue and 125th Street, there was a bookstore called The Tree of Life.
Right.
Now, when the Masons at that time, when the Black Masons at the time from that ilk began finding out that a lot of secrets are being leaked out of there, and that the consciousness of the people were no longer going to the institutions that kept us sick, the institutions that kept us channeled into that, from school to jail and so forth. We were circumventing business, in other words. I remember going to Brother Kanye Kakumba's, well, at the time he was called Kanye Kakumba, he's now Kanye Basham McGee. I remember going to his apartment there on the Upper West Side, and he had a prospectus from Wall Street because he was a Wall Street broker. And at the time, he said, do you want to invest? He said, you know, there's an investment out here that in interferon therapies for a new disease they say that's coming up. And I said, a new disease? What do you mean? How do anybody know what a new disease is? Well, they say that they got this interferon therapy that Wall Street is getting ready to make an investment in. And if you come in now, you're due to make a lot of money. Well, this was in 1981, 82, when we spoke. And then all of a sudden in 1984, AIDS came out. And interferon therapies, Robaron and Ferron and all the rest of these started coming out. So what was happening from the time in 1975 all the way through 1984, 84, when the announcement was made that we have a new disease that's so deadly that it was killing everybody off left and right, we were already ahead of the curve. We knew what was happening. And that's when we began that campaign to tell everybody that it was a hoax. But of course, back then we were persecuted because it went against the grain. Remember, they kicked me off of LIB. I couldn't go back on LIB. They kicked me off the stage when LIB was broadcasting out the Apollo. So what happens is the politics overran the rising of the consciousness in Harlem, because Harlem is the hub. Harlem was the hub for consciousness in New York for Black folks, because it was in Manhattan where all of their brothers from Africa, from out of Haiti, everybody was coming through there first. So the WLIB was the place where everybody could tune in and hear what was happening in the community. And we were using that. That was the place where everybody would say, okay, let's go to what was going on in the community, what was happening in the community. Well, back in the day, we were approached by the National Institute of Health. And here's where the attack began. Back in the days, they brought all of us together, Queen Afua, me, John Harris, Sister Daya, all of us. We were all together, about Dr. Love, everybody. And the National Institute of Health put out a paperwork to all of us and asked us to write down what it is that we do in our respective places of operation. And I said, no. They said, well, it's $20,000. And I said, I don't give a damn how much it cost. Well, a lot of people were writing in. A lot of the therapists were writing in. Some of them came in from Philadelphia. They started writing in and telling everybody about what they did. Not telling them, listen, what you're doing is telling them what they're going to get next. You're just giving the enemy ammunition to come back at us. Because we were dealing from a root perspective. And after that, it was after that you began seeing this influx of what became called integrative medicine. So we were at the forefront of everything that was going on in Harlem, and Charlie Rangel destroyed that. He, first of all, attacked the Tree of Life and forced it to, raise the rent to some exorbitant price so that he had to move, and even told Kanye that he could have a bank if he wanted to, and you can move all his stuff into this bank, all his books. He said it's off the beaten track. Because right there on the corner of 125th Street and Lexington Avenue, that was UCLA. That was the university at the corner of Lenox Avenue, UCLA. And that's where everybody went, and that's where the consciousness of the metaphysics and everything, because Kanye had books, and he had places that you could go, places you can go to get those books to find out what was really behind Christianity, what was really behind Islam, was really behind everything that we were dealing with, politics, economics, everything. And they shut that down. So after that, when Big Brother Khalid transcended, when all of the leaders transcended, when Dr. Blair transcended, when our brother Bobby got wounded, it began to diminish because we didn't have that onus. And we were attacked by the doctors. They tried to run Dr. Love out. They actually went into his office and threatened his life.
Right.
So, yeah, we were there. And Harlem didn't give up that easily. No, we didn't. We were definitely undercut by the politics, and those politicians that looked like us, they took the rug from under us.
Let me ask you, have you ever heard of Dr. Mario Beatty?
No, I don't think I did.
Dr. Mario Beatty, I think he's out of the Philadelphia area or Washington area. He's a professor for one of the colleges that's out there, and he's specialized in the metal netta and ancient Kemet and stuff like that type of science.
Okay.
Now, there's a group of young brothers that's out there now saying that the metal netta has not been deciphered. According to your understanding, Phil, because I know you taught that a long time ago. Like I said, they just getting up on it.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say the metal netta has been deciphered? The people do know how to decode it and break down the metal netta?
Well,
because other than that, then why are we saying Hotep? Why are we taking on names like Sarnetter and all of these Kemetic names if it has not been deciphered?
Well, why are we taking all these Islamic names?
That's right. Yeah.
Why are we taking all these Christian names? Most people going to court right now, they can't even decipher the English language.
That's right.
Who could tell me what it is that law means? What's real law? When you walk up into the court and start talking your gibberish to the judge, what are you actually saying? Are you speaking the language necessary to get you off? How do you know what you're speaking is even a language just because they taught you? I could teach a monkey to do sign language.
That's right. Yeah. To ride a bike and all that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that when you speak about the Rosetta Stone, when you speak about other pieces of evidence that Dr. Raketti Amen,
right,
who is the language professor at our university. She is the head of our language department at our University of Communication Sciences. If you want a more concise and in-depth understanding of that, you could speak to her. Mm-hmm. She was tasked with turning it from a dead language into a living language. You could also speak to Mfundishi, Jehudima,
yes,
and speak to him. About the fact, tell them that that language has never been deciphered.
Right,
and they'll show you.
Yep.
You know, I really am pissed off because it pisses me off to say that you could just shut down and say it's never been done. And I mean, I'm not here to be antagonistic about anything. I mean, I'm here to learn just like everybody else. I've learned some things, and you know, I've grown. I don't want to stop growing. But until you can show me where that is, that how do you know it has not been deciphered? If you know, the only way you can know it's not been deciphered is if you know what it means.
Correct. That is correct.
So let's just look at it that way. If you know it's not been deciphered, then tell me who has the original and knows what it says. If we're saying it wrong and we did not decipher it, it's never been deciphered, how do you know it's not been deciphered? Show me the real deciphering.
Right. That's
and then I will say, oh, okay, all right. Then I can say, all right, yeah, you're right. It was never deciphered because you have the definitive deciphering.
Right. Yeah.
It's not nonsense. I don't want to hear that kind of nonsense.
Yes, I got two more questions for you. Can you expound a little deeper? I mean, you did it already, but I'm just taking it down because somebody put it in the chat room. They wanted me to ask you this question. Can you expound a little deeper on the Kundalini?
Yeah, Kundalini. Everybody's using Kundalini, but
right.
They
see, you brought all you did all of this years ago, Phil. I'm telling you, man. You did this years ago, brother.
I know, but I love my people. You know, everybody thinks I hate my people, but I love my people because I'm still here. I could have gone off and got a job somewhere.
Right.
I love my people. I'll tell you. Kundalini, dealing with the serpentine fire, as my elder brother Maurice White spoke about. When you're dealing with a energy, which is a feminine energy, by the way, it's a feminine fire that meets up. It's the feminine fire that raises up and meets Lord Shiva in the pineal, and that's what they call the divine marriage. But Kundalini is actually started at the base of your coccyx. And the way it started it is by actually hitting your coccyx on the ground, actually. And you bang it like a flint. You know how you rub two stones together and it sparks a fire?
Right. Yep.
Well, if you look at your coccyx, it's shaped like the head of a cobra. And essentially that's the fire, that's the snake that keeps you wanting to, get busy, and keeps you wanting to use the Kundalini to get that immediate gratification. I tell my brothers, especially young men, that that every time you ejaculate, you're ejaculating brain fluid because the ejaculant that's in there, the comprising of it, actually comes from a part of your spinal cord. It's called in the Bible the River Jordan, and the River Jordan empties into the Sea of Galilee, as they say. But that's all in your body, which they masked, of course. So what you do is that there is a cerebrospinal fluid is the essence that your sperm is made from, just like the eggs that are made in the feminine, in the female, that the cerebrospinal fluid is what is bathed, what those eggs are bathed in, is what your sperm is bathed in. And that cerebrospinal fluid actually goes up and down your spine. It pumps up and down your spine. You can feel your heart and your pulses on your arm, on your neck, and... Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I heard somebody talking. I
yeah, that's my wife trying to hit me up for a couple of dollars. She all right, yeah. She said, I don't want to give it to her, Phil. She know I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and give it to her.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, your cerebral spinal fluid, that part of your body that's running up and down your spine, actually, which is running forth. They talk about the eyes of God running to and forth to the earth in the Bible. Well, they're speaking about that cerebral spinal fluid. Your spine is pulsing with a pulse that's separate from the way your heart beats, separate from the pulse that you feel on your neck and in your heart. There's another pulse altogether. And that fluid is what is called the crystalline fluid that they talk about in the Bible. That's the substance that you lose every time you ejaculate. That's why you have to go to sleep. That's why you get knocked out. And if you leave it in your woman takes that essence and absorbs it. She's the part that does run out, the part that does stay in her absorbs in her blood. And what happens to her is that you change her. You change her whole nature. You change her whole blood, change everything. And she is invigorated. In fact, they said that sperm is an antidepressant.
Mm-hmm. Okay, brother. The next question. Don't laugh at me on this question. This is what the people want to know. So we do it for the people, man. What is your view, Dr. Phil, on flat Earth? You know, that's been a big ongoing debate. God. This debate been going on for years, Phil. You know, for years. I know. You know, the community is just getting wind of it, man. But it's been going on for decades, brother. You know that.
Yeah, but you know what? I did not, I did not even adhere to it. I didn't want to adhere to it because when it did come to me, it came to me based upon, you remember, I don't know if you were there at the time when they were at the gathering, when, what was their names? The ones who were the Philadelphia experiment.
Yes.
Al Bielek and Preston Nichols.
Yes, I know you're talking about.
Right. Well, a good brother, you may know him. He passed away. It's a brother named Gene, Gene. Mm-hmm. Got his last name, but Gene used to work at a store called Weiser's. Remember Weiser's down there on Fifth Avenue?
Right.
You're okay. So Weiser's bookstore had a sale going, and it was Gene that turned me on to a book that I later I couldn't read it. It was too advanced for me because it was too much. It was too visceral. It was too ethereal for me. But this book was by a man named Giannini, and it was called Worlds Beyond the Poles. It was by a man named F. Amedeo Giannini, and it was so. At that time, the book had one of those spiral bounds. How they used to make the spiral bounds, right? And when I was reading it, it had about the flat plane, and there was no real stars. There was nothing but gases and so forth. So I was reading that, and I said, I don't know if I could be able to tell this to the people. So I stuck with the.
You ain't ready to bring that out.
I said no. Gene said, "This is like way out, man. You tell them people there, get ready to run, get ready to duck, and they'll definitely not want to deal with you." So I stayed away from it. That was my mistake. And I told people about that until a young lady by the name of Desiree, who was a good friend of mine, a brother named Strength Elbay. Mm-hmm. His wife said, we were talking, and as I was about to say goodbye, she said, "Oh, Dr. Valentine, the Earth is flat." And I said, "Oh, okay." I'm flashing back again, and I'm saying, "Well, yeah, that's what they say." He said, no, they got a proof now, and they got the thing. And I said, what was the name of the book you got it from? No, somebody else said it. So I listened to her, and I listened to what this guy had to say, this guy, Eric Dubay. And I said, well, you know what? Let me go back to what I remembered. And then, boom, I said, oh, man, I've been wrong all this along. I've been going along the same lines and so forth. So I corrected myself, and sure enough, I did a whole lecture with Brother Rich on that. And I don't know if Brother Rich has put it out there yet. But the flat Earth, I don't believe in flat Earth. I don't believe anything, but I've come to the knowledge based on my metaphysical training, that we are on a flatted plane, and that there is no flat earth floating around, that there is a flatted plane, and that we are encased within a kind of a dome-like structure that is made of, and you've heard me say this many, many times. I was actually speaking about this, that we are encased in a hydrogen dome, a compressed hydrogen dome. I didn't know what it meant by that time, because I knew that that above us was water, and that everything is that when the earth, when we had the great flood, that compressed hydrogen dome broke, and that what we're looking at as the so-called Milky Way is actually a suture. And if you look at somebody who's had a cut or been cut by a knife, and you see one of those deep cuts, and you see a keloid, and that you see that keloid grow out of the skin, especially on the richly melanated people, then you see that seam down the middle and these two raised pieces of flesh on either side. If you look at it, that's supposedly, this is what it said in the ancient Japanese myths, that's where the waters came that flooded the earth, that actually is in all of the mythos of all of the peoples around the plane of earth, that's where the waters came from, above. That is the flood, the so-called Noah's Ark, and the story of Gilgamesh and the whole 9 yards, that was based upon the splitting of the dome and the waters that came to wash out and then re-begin or to restart humanity on a whole other level.
Mm-hmm. All right, my brother. I want to thank you, Phil. Are you up to take any questions, or are you done? You want to open? I can open up the line.
I'll take a few.
Okay, family. We're going to open up the line. Y'all get a chance to speak to our Grandmaster Teacher. I just want to remind you, always be respectful. If you're not respectful, I'm going to have to cut you off. All you got to do is say, yo, get rid of him, sir. Let's go. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? So
No.
Let's keep it real, y'all. The lines are open. You already know the numbers. It's right there on the screen. You have an opportunity now to ask the question. Let's get it in. It takes them a minute to call in.
Oh, I thought they had called in already.
All right, here we go.
Call from
King from Kent.
All right, peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Peace. This King from Canton, Ohio. Appreciate being on the show.
Okay, we got Dr. Phil in the building. You have any questions for him?
First of all, I just want to say I appreciate Dr. Phil, and I've been listening to him and checking out a lot of his information for a long time, so I want to say thank you. But my question is very simple, very, very simple. Can anybody show me where Earth is? That's as simple as I can get.
Can anybody show you where Earth is?
And the reason I ask that, the only reason I ask that is because every picture I've seen has been CGI. And
right.
So if you have better information on it, that's fine. I'm just asking questions.
My brother,
I know that sounds crazy, but I've never seen it.
No.
I know I've just never seen it.
No, remember what I was saying to you, that we are now changing the frequencies of the blood, which the blood now is frequency changing. And when you're asking me, show me where the Earth is, you're asking a question.
For you.
Yeah, no, you're breaking the mold. I appreciate the question, because the question is right on point.
I like that. I like that question too.
Yeah, your question is based in intelligence. Yeah, it's based in intelligence and critical thinking. Yeah, there's no such thing as the Earth as a ball. We have not yet seen what the Earth looks like. We can only conjecture from what it is that Picard himself said. Remember that guy Jean-Luc Picard from what's his name? From Star Trek?
Yes,
The Next Generation. Well, he's named after a man named Jacques Picard, who was the one who went up the highest in a balloon, and what he saw was endless. Everything he saw was endless. There was no circle, there was no curvature, nothing. And they made a commercial about that, where I believe it was some kind of liquor, some kind of beer, and this guy went up and broke the dome when he crashed through it. So we know now what we're coming to the knowledge of this is everybody, there's this grand awakening, there's this quickening of consciousness that those who want to control us want to suppress. And I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Christian, Islam, whatever it is. Everybody wants to make sure that the consciousness of the plane of existence that we're on stays at a certain level, because then the cattle stays within the corral. Brother, I appreciate your question. Keep thinking along those lines.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Thank you for even taking the time. I appreciate you, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Man. Thank you.
All right,
You're
brother.
welcome, brother.
Peace.
All right now.
Call from
Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from? Peace, brother. You on the line? Okay. We get the next one. Phil, you there?
I'm still here.
Okay. All right. Come on, man. Y'all a little slow on these calls now.
It's all right. Maybe they don't want to talk. They just want to listen.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. Hey, what's this thing with our people, right? Whenever you start teaching and you go over their head a little bit, they say, oh, that's the white man science. What the hell is the white man science? They think the white man came up with this stuff. We be telling them, bro, we've been doing this for years, way before the damn white man got here. Ain't no such thing as the white man science, Phil. What are they talking about?
No. Well, they're talking from what they know and what it is that they've been conditioned to know. Mm-hmm. Indoctrination does that. It tends to shut them down. And you got to remember, this generation has a very short attention span. I'm not saying that to be facetious or to be, denigrating. No, this generation has been taught that they need immediate gratification, immediate answers, and the ones that suit them in their own comfort zone keeps them in that comfort zone. And when they hear things that do not match that comfort zone, then they tend to rebel and then dismiss. Well, that's usually the youth. Youth is like that. Youth has their own convictions. They are driven by the convictions towards knowledge that they think that supports that conviction. But then sometimes tragedy or something shifts their attention. Love sometimes shifts their attention. And sometimes they pick up a book or they heard something somewhere, and then all of a sudden something else kind of connects them to that thing they heard somewhere. Well, we just wait. You see, elders have to be patient. They have to be patient with the youth because they have this cut and paste mentality. They have this new they've been conditioned by cut and paste intellectuals. Mm-hmm. And they take something that elders said before, cut it, put it in a thing, and then they stand on their soapbox and they speak. And they, I'm the new flavor. I'm the new 15-minute fame flavor. Well, no. They don't understand that we didn't have the luxury of being able to cut and paste on the internet, because I had to only speak and was typing over books, finding books through references and so forth. They don't know that. They don't study like that.
Right. Peace and Black Power.
Old school.
Peace and Black Power family. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? This brother Sakim.
Sakim, what's up, my brother? What's up, my brother? Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you, brother.
All right.
And Dr. Phil, I had the honor of actually interviewing you about a year ago, and I was real honored. Well, what I want to ask you, it might be kind of controversial, so you probably don't even have to go through this. I'm gonna just hang up and listen. Homosexuality.
Come on.
Can you be?
Go ahead,
is it all right if I ask?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. You know me. It's been controversial.
Right.
it something that they're doing to make you do that? Can people be born like that, or are you made? Are you
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, good question.
I'm gonna just hang up and listen to the answer.
Go ahead, brother.
Well, you got that's a very good question. Because we have a very evolved listenership, brother. Very, very kudos to you, brother Simon.
Mm-hmm.
You got a very evolved listenership.
Right.
Yeah. What you have to understand is that what is being told to us homosexuality is based upon an acceptance of homosexuality. As a society degenerates, degenerative circumstances and actions actually rise. They come to the surface and they become more normalized. So what you have essentially is a perversion of a natural order in life and in nature. And because we are saying that we're progressive and everybody can live and let live and so forth, this is not new. This happened in Kemet. It happened in Abyssinia. It happened every great civilization starts off with men conquering, establishing civilizations, taking it to its height, and then giving women the power. Now, I know this is the controversy. Once you give women who are based in unconditional love, that's their nature. It's called unconditional love. Their nature is unconditionalness. That's what it is. We as males are conditional love. You got to prove. Show and prove. You got to act right, or if you don't act right, you get slapped right. Okay?
Right.
So men have a specific way of looking at the world. We regiment the world. We create the world. We set the world into order so that we can bring life forward. Women can then take and then be safe and secure to bring forth life. When it becomes a thing that we take the work from women, when women no longer have to do things that are supportive of a relationship between a man and a woman, when they no longer have to be women in the sense that what it is that is compatibility and companionship with compatibility, then they look after what it is, they go after power. Remember, I gave you the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Men seek power, and to get power, they give love.
Mm-hmm.
Women seek love, and to do that, they give power. When women no longer want love and they want your power, and men succeed to that and accede to that because the men now are raised by women, and that was not an accident. Everything now that you're seeing out there in the form of clothing with men is being actually designed by homosexuals. They got you with this tight crotch thing up in your crotch and down your legs. And now you have on, say, jackets that you put on like a suit jacket. And the bottom of the suit jacket cuts above your crotch like a woman's jacket. When you start dressing like that and you start acting more feminine and you start being a metrosexual instead of a heterosexual male, when you start looking into more feminine things and doing more feminine things, and the feminine begins to be the thing that everybody is ascribing to, and that power now is looking from an unconditional point where they want, for instance, to just open the borders and let everybody in. That's a female. That's the feminization of the mindset.
Let me say this real quick.
Make sure that you got.
Yeah, let me say this real. Sorry to cut you off, Phil. That was a good question by my brother, and I always still wonder. I still ask myself these questions because I've heard you, like I said, you dealt with this stuff a long time ago with the homosexuality and all that. But I've heard you say, man, it comes from the food, it comes from this. But is it possible, Phil? Because I still question myself. Do it also come from these vaccinations when these doctors are hitting you up as a baby, you getting your baby vaccinated? Because it got to be something going on, brother, that's deep, man. Because we are looking at homosexuality like we never have. When I was growing up, it was hidden. It was in the closet. Now they getting more power than us. They getting power like crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, is this shit really going on through the vaccinations as well?
Well, I was getting to that.
Go ahead.
It's the vaccination.
Yes, sir.
It's a multi-vectored attack. You're dealing with the food. You're dealing definitely with the water, through the fluoridation of the water. You're dealing with the attacks on the female while she's pregnant, because I speak to the fact that, yes, everybody says, well, can you be born with it? Yes, you can be. There's a certain kind of disease it's called congenital disease. Homosexuality is a congenital disease. What's a congenital disease? A congenital disease is a disease that doesn't start out in the womb, but there's something that afflicts the developmental stages of the child, and the child somehow comes out, say, with 6 fingers, and they say that's genetic, or the child comes out with no eyes, or something in the chemistry that the woman was drinking or was exposed to in the air and the food. Something happens that triggers a defective gene, and the child is born that way. Well, they have get the books, get the folios and the works by Fitz, F-R-I-T-Z, Springmeyer, S-P-R-I-N-G-M-E-I-R. In there, he speaks about the scientific way they found to make homosexuals.
Damn.
Okay?
Yes.
And you can do that. You can disrupt, say, for instance, I keep telling people that there's a way that people says, well, you're all born female. No.
I don't know if you heard, I don't know if you read Dr. Wesley Muhammad's book. He wrote a book dealing with marijuana, and he said straight up that it is marijuana also turning out people homosexual with the liquid that's inside of the marijuana. He wrote a book on that, man.
Yeah, but you're talking about the paraquat.
Okay.
What about Tyrone Hayes?
I'm not sure Tyrone Hayes. I don't know who Tyrone Hayes is. Most of the stuff that they're actually talking about is stuff that we were speaking about 35 years ago.
Yes.
And that they're probably bringing to the first. I'm glad that everybody's talking about it. But you got to understand that how did it... But look at it this way. Let's look at it spiritually and metaphysically. What part of the plant has the highest amount of tetrahydrocannabinol?
What is it?
The root?
Female part.
The roots.
Female part.
Okay.
The female part. In other words, the way you cultivate the hemp is how you create the marijuana. And you have, in order for you to cultivate it so that it becomes the hallucinogen, you have to cut off the male. You have to cut off the male and grow the female. So, think about that. Just from a spiritual perspective.
All right. Come on, callers. How many more callers? A couple of more? 2 more, Phil?
Yeah, 2 more, and that's it.
All right.
Call from
Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Doggy Diamonds calling from Brooklyn.
Shout out to Doggy Diamonds in the building, y'all. You already know what it is, man. Phil, you heard of Brother Doggy Diamonds?
I heard about this, brother.
Yeah, he got a powerful platform over there as well in Brooklyn doing his thing. Shout out to Doggy Diamonds. What's happening, Doggy?
Chilling. Yeah, I had a question. So for some people, confused, they want to know who they are.
I can't really hear you. Try to clear up your phone for a minute, brother. We can't hear you that clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, way better. Way better.
Okay. All right. So my question for Dr. Phil Valentine was for somebody that was confused, somebody that, don't really know who they are. They want to learn about themselves and they are very novice with consciousness. What's a good book that they should start with to read to open their eyes and ears to consciousness?
Why don't you go up online to our university's website, and the books that we recommend there are what we recommend to our students. And go to UKS. That's U as in United, K as in King, S as in Science, NOW, the word now, .org. UKSNOW.org. Now, when you go up there, click where it says books. Now, there are a couple of books there that we recommend. One is The Handbook to Higher Consciousness by Keys. There's another book there that you could check called the right use of will. And there's one there that was my favorite because this was one of my teachers, by Krishnamurti, The Awakening of Intelligence. It's actually a dialogue between he and people questioning him and answering. It's a question and answer kind of thing. And read his book. And the thing is, if you want to really get into it, come to our university. Matter of fact, we just started this past yesterday, we just started our semester, and we are taking in late registration. I'll be in New York, and the next class is the week after I'll come to New York. And like I said,
and he gonna be in your hometown, Dougie Diamond, Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's at a secret location, right? King Simon.
Yeah,
yes.
King Simon is going to speak on it a little later. Yeah, and what you do is tell the people, this is exactly why I want to have this dark matter think tank, because the people don't have a direction to themselves. It's not to some place outside of themselves. They think that they're incomplete, that they don't have what it takes to be a whole human being. They do. It's just that they've been distracted to believe that everything they're seeking is outside of themselves. I'm going to show them the path within, which is the path to the light. That's why if it's really something that you're searching for, go check with Brother King Simon. Get in contact with him and come to our gathering, which is essentially the Dark Matter Think Tank, is that overshining of the gathering of the masters. How we used to do it.
Gotcha. I mean, I read a lot. I just wanted to know, sometimes people say to me, yo, man, I don't know where to start. So I just like to ask people, their recommendations of where to start for the people, because I think more of our people need to start reading, just even if it's not for knowledge, just comprehension and learning new words and expanding your vocabulary. We all need to read. We all need to read. Compare, contrast what we read too. So that was really, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. I see you come to New York, but I know I'll be with you later on.
All right, peace, my brother Dougie. Peace.
Peace, man.
All right. Hey, we got one more question. Whoever call in, who's going to be the lucky one to get this call, y'all, let's go. Once again, Phil Valentine will be in New York City Sunday, July 21st, 2019. Make sure you get the early bird tickets. You can get the tickets. Call the number 347-496-1022. That is 347-496-1022. I'm surprised King Simon ain't in the building. He usually be all up in my chat room.
Well, listen to this. Here's this.
Yes.
Let me just tell this to everybody.
Go ahead, brother.
We're going to start at 11 o'clock and go all the way to 7, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, so 11 in the morning. That's good. Wow.
From 11 in the morning till the evening time. That's how long we're going to be there.
Man.
You're not going to get this. You're not going to get me like this again. I'm too damn old to be out there doing this again.
Man, if anybody could do it, it's Phil Valentine. I remember, Phil, the longest lecture you ever done was somatic death.
Yeah.
That's 11 damn hours.
Yeah.
11 hours, brother.
11 and 3/4 hours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man.
Yes. So what I wanted to do was to make sure that everybody understand that this is not a joke. We are not just staging this for, just to get money or to get popularity. This is a serious time. 2020. Remember the Roaring 20s back in the day? They used to call something the Roaring 20s back in the 19. Well, we're getting ready to go back into the replay. This is the Roaring 20s reboot. And you think it's going to be, you think you're going through struggles now. Wait till things start to crash. Wait till things start to you have to be prepared. Not only with that, matter of fact, if you want to get a primer, let me do this, Brother Sanetta. If you want a primer to what we're getting ready to do on Sunday, the 21st, hit me up in my private email at Sanu, S as in science, UNNU 777 @gmail.com. Again,
Hold up, Phil. Please, I need my moderators. Put that in the chat as Phil's saying it. That way the people can just go right to it. So say it again, Phil, slow, like you did before.
Okay, S as in science, U as in umbrella, N, that's Nancy, U again, 777 @gmail.com. Put in the subject bar webinar. Now, that webinar I did is 5 hours long, and it's the primer to prepare you for Sunday.
There you go.
So you can go up and you have to give. It goes through PayPal. It's pay-per-view. It ain't nothing but 35. And for 5 hours at 35, you're gonna get some to get your pencils and paper out. But make sure that you don't stop or try to go back or anything, because it will drop out on you. You have instructions. My wife is going to send it out to you on our on the Zoom call. It's a Zoom call that we did before. That's the primer for this Sunday coming up. And of course, you can get in contact with my wife for the Juice Plus at 800-847-1291, 800-847-1291. We also have the vaccination exemptions for those of you outside of New York and outside of
Call from
healing consultations, and I do metaphysical consultations as well. I'm just putting that out there for people who feel that they need or they actually require that type of consultation.
All right, the last caller. Yes, the last caller. Go ahead, brother. What you got? What's your question? Peace and Black Power. What's your name? Where you calling from? This is the last call, y'all. All right, he ain't pick up.
Call from
Kiva.
Peace and Black Power. Peace and Black Power. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi,
yes, my name.
Hold on, brother. I got two callers, man. You came in late. I moved on. Let me get the sister right quick. What's your name and where you calling from?
How you doing?
Good.
My name is Kiva. I'm calling from Tennessee.
Okay.
I want to thank you, brothers, for the panel, and I want to thank Dr. Valentine for his time. We are in a dire situation right now. What I think my question is to Dr. Phil, because I see a lot of confusion in our community on did we create so-called white people? Did white people come from us? We know that there's a difference. Whether there's a difference in the blood. I think also, and I'm gonna skip around a little bit because my mind works like that. Also, I think our people do not understand what light and magnetism and energy is. I think our people also don't understand. He mentioned something about lands rising and falling and water covering lands. I think people don't understand that this thing is still connected. It's so many things that we're arguing about when there's so much evidence that there is a common enemy that has been targeting us, and we have too many divisions that we continue to ride on when there are some right now things that people are playing with our frequency, which is causing us to malfunction daily, 24 hours of the day. We have things that are going on in the right now. I see people in the chat arguing about this man, about his doctrine and where he gets this. Well, all education comes from those who have the power now, so why can't he? All knowledge is within us. So everything doesn't have to come out of a book. Everything doesn't have to come out of a book. We have to drop that division, or this person has that much knowledge. We coming up where people are opening up and there with so many different pieces to this puzzle that we got to come together. And the Africa thing has always thrown me out because the compass is point north. Where do they hide north? Something happened that froze this thing and shut this energy and got our energy completely off. And it's been way longer than some 1800s. It's been a long time. We got to realize that there are some things going on major. And yes, this man and you all in this chat have information, and we need to continue to share. And I hope that he says something and that somebody says something that helps us to go further, because these people are not playing. You see all of these disasters, whether they are natural or man-made, things are happening. There's going to be a food crisis. There's an economic collapse coming on. We know about the poisoning of the vaccinations of what he's talking about. We got measles. We got stuff in our water. We got Ebola. Come on now, y'all. We got to get it together. I appreciate you, brothers. I'm not going to hold it up any longer, sister. But I really, really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what, sister? Thank you very much. Definitely, I feel your passion. I feel that that energy that you have. It's the intensity that you're dealing with. I don't care what other people say about me, about where I get my information from. They need to tax and check themselves where they get their information from. If they're getting it from somebody they think is black, and the person is, well, Islam taught me this, and Christianity or Yahweh taught me this, you're a fool because you're still taking in secondhand information. It's secondhand information, fools. It doesn't matter where you get that from. If you got it from within, if you were born, and if you came out, you didn't read a book or open a book, and you could come down and say you never read a book in your life and you speak in my language, I'd listen to you first. But if you're telling me that you got something from somebody's book, then you're taking in secondhand language, and I question where you got your information from. So essentially, I take information. Knowledge has degrees, brothers and sisters. First, it comes as information. Information is dead. It ain't got nothing to do with anything. It's dead. It's just there. It's entropic. But if you take information and you activate it proactively, it then becomes knowledge. Okay? Knowledge now, when acted upon, refines itself into wisdom. Wisdom, once propagated, becomes enlightenment. So there are degrees. I read things and I see things, but I don't just read them and absorb them. I try them out. I have 35 godchildren from women and men who came to me to say they could not have babies. Doctors said they couldn't have any babies. And I told them what they needed to do. And I have 35 people who said, I want you to be my children's godfather. 35. And I didn't, you could tell me that, well, he read that in a white man book. No, I applied the knowledge that I got and it became my own. So don't tell me what it is, or don't try to, that nickel and dime psych about, where you getting his information, his right information. Just think about the fact that everybody ain't a brother. And just because you think you got it from some book that speaks in Arabic or speaks in Hebrew, that you somehow enlightened. You ain't enlightened. You're just taking in secondhand information. And what you're doing is that you feel comfortable in your own ignorance, because most of them is just telling you what you want to hear. Now you go out and you practice. Go out and just get rid of all of your life preservers and learn to swim, because all of you all taking them books and you all are hanging on to them like life preservers. All right? Tell me something that you learned for yourself spiritually, what you got from within, not from what you read from a book.
All right, man. That's what's up. And in closing, Phil, you got the last word, my brother. Take us home. Take us out of here. Once again, Phil will be in New York, July 21st, 2019, y'all. Go ahead, Phil. You got the last word, brother.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, brother Sarnetta, I like what I hear. I like what you're doing again. Thank you very much for this opportunity, this platform to be able to speak to my people again. And I want everybody to support Brother Sarnetta and Brother King Simon and Brother Rich, Brother Black Dot and his son.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Malcolm.
A. Rashid is in town too. A came into town this week. He's here.
Well, I got a big etheric hug for my stepson. And what I need to do right now at this particular time is to let everybody know that I'm not going to be doing this for much longer. And I guess everybody's happy about this. Some people are really happy I ain't going to do this for much longer. But what I want to do, I have over 300 videos circling the planet right now. I think I've said enough. But what it is that it's time to get proactive. Mm-hmm. Please support Brother King Simon at this Saturday, because it's Sunday coming in. And please give a call to my wife. If you are really dealing with health issues, talk to my wife, Dr. Milani. Leave a message at 800-847-1291 to talk about the Juice Plus, as well as the vaccination exemption, as well as our university, as well as our consultations. But that being said, I just want to make sure that everybody understands and overstands that I don't pretend to know every damn thing. I always change up, and I admit when I am wrong. I admit when something does not fit. But until somebody shows me where I am incorrect or where I'm wrong and shows me the exculpatory evidence, then for instance, that I'm not listening. I'm listening to you, and if you're trying to force it or you're denigrating me on Facebook or any place, I know there's some real dirt that I've read about me on and YouTube and all that. I'm really, you really not phasing me. That That's that armchair quarterback kind of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
You're not phasing me because you don't have anything to bring to the table except your vitriol and your venom. And anybody want to be poisoned by those words.
Right.
So that being said, family, I love all of you all. I would like to see you all fill that small circle that Brother King Simon is providing. And we're going to definitely chop it up from 11 to 7.
Damn. All right, brother. Peace, Brother Phil. Peace to you, and say peace to my sister, Dr. Nalani, as well.
I will.
All right, peace, brother. All right, once again, man, we got one of our grandmaster teachers in the building, and just like the sister said, I was about to say I don't believe y'all, but then again, I do believe y'all, because y'all could be so goddamn disrespectful to a brother who brought this information out when nobody was doing this at this time. So you Negroes, Chief X, come on, brother, Chief X, how you gonna be so damn negative all the time? If you don't like what you hear, brother, why come in? Why not just, turn it off? Don't come in with the nigga shit, with the negativity, brother, because it just generates more negativity. One bad apple spoils, it creates more bad apples. So if you don't like it, I don't go into no chat rooms or nobody videos if I don't like them, man. Because why? What's the use of bringing the negative energy if we dealing with something positive? I can see if he's coming in here and he's banging and the whole energy is negative, then you could come on in and greet everybody with your negative energy. But if that's not what the platform is about, come on, brother. We got to give respect, whether we agree with a brother or we don't agree with him. He's been one of the ones that been doing this when a lot of you niggas was out there on drugs and shit. That's a fact. When Phil been doing this 20, 30, 40 years ago, bringing in the information. So now some people will only say, oh, it's pseudo because you get more knowledge and you get more information. But we got to remember the foundation and who set it all in motion and who brought on the knowledge. I'm never going to forget that. Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blair, whether you call some of them pseudo now because you get a little information on YouTube or whatever, we got to stop the negative shit when it ain't when it don't warrant that. It don't warrant that at this time, man. Come on, brothers. Peace and black power. I love all of y'all. Chief X, man, I love you, brother. But sometime I'm saying, brother, let's, curve that shit sometime when it don't warrant it, man. That's all I'm saying, brother.
I'm peace out to the house of consciousness. Inside Netta TV. Straight from Sirius B star, you dig? Out of this world, structure stars and pyramids. The esoteric, metaphysical merits, astrological composites of comedics. HOK, hey, the house of consciousness, where they spitting more hot flames than arsonists. I watch so often, it's so much knowledge, kid. I can hardly get my brain and not forget. Side Netta, it's time to light the fuse, illuminate their souls, cause the people are confused. It really doesn't matter your status or point of view. It's you and ITY together, we cannot lose. But we can batter and bruise every industry that's put together and held by white supremacy. But don't debate it at all where men originated. Yeah, created the first and also melanated. Yes,
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Yeah. All right, on the phone right now, I got the homie Lena